Uneducated, unfiltered, unhinged. This is the Mangina Dialogues. We at it again with your host Nick Scopes and the Gregalicious. You know how we do, cause you know we keeping it gangster and silly. Unplugged like a full swung titty. Bout get jitty, cause you know we down to the nitty and the gritty. And we make shit sound so damn pretty. Yeah, cause this unhinged comedy. And right now you're in the mix, so get ready, cause we bout to get it poppin'. And we ain't stopping.
Uneducated, unfiltered, unhinged. This the Mangina Dialogues. We at it again. Yeah, we at it again. Uneducated, unfiltered, unhinged. This the Mangina.
Hello and welcome to the Mangina Dialogues. I am your host, Nick Scopes.
And I'm the Gregalicious.
Greg barely made it through that song.
I'm sorry.
So did our guest today,
I'm
Shawn Pelofsky. What's up, Shawn?
Oh, not much. Just a little COVID-19. But you guys really did sound like Biggie on that. So kudos to the opening rap number for two white guys.
You right? I'm
Yeah.
Sicilian, so it's different, But
Yeah.
pretty much. That's so you're a fan of the song, huh?
I liked it. I thought it was cool. I mean, I couldn't really, process everything that was being said. That's just because I'm in a coma and just trying to check out from everything that's going on. But I felt the beat. I felt your jive.
Oh, I like that.
We're going to send you an MP3
You know what the
to
fuck
rock
that
down
meant.
the road.
I don't know what the fuck that meant. That's funny.
All right, Shawn. So what are you doing these days?
Oh, it's so much. Eating ice cream. Fighting with my husband, and then eating ice cream, then fighting with my husband. I weirdly, Greg and Nick, I'm a productive person in general. And I think as like comedians, it's probably not known to be very productive. But I got to tell you, what I thought would have me kind of like laying low, being lazier, I have never been busier in this lockdown in Los Angeles than I have been this past couple of weeks, as far as like work-wise, career-wise. I know people are like, I'm so bored. I've got nothing to do. I can't watch the Tiger King one more time, blah, blah, blah. I'm just lucky if I'm done at the end of the day by like 11 o'clock. And it's nuts. Like, people are like, what are you talking about? But for me, I'm exhausted. Is it over yet? I mean, just finally something needs to happen. Something needs to change. Just an earthquake, open up, swallow this hole out here in California, something.
So the most important thing out of that, I need to know what kind of ice cream you're eating.
Oh, well, it's in my freezer, and it's like been there for a long time because I'm fucking scared to go out now. So I think we've torn through a couple of Ben and Jerry's, some cookie dough. There's the cookies and chocolate milk. We've torn through a Ben and Jerry's Rocky Road, and now we opened up like it's crazy. I've acted like I haven't been on Weight Watchers for a year and a half, and suddenly now I just turn into big hungry, and it just doesn't matter anymore. I mean, I am working out every day, and I'm trying to like not be on my 600-pound life, but I'm working my way to it.
Yeah, the guys that produce 600-Pound Life, they're the winners in all this.
Seriously. The winner is going to be, if we all come out on the end of this, it will be Oprah because she invested in Weight Watchers. And I really believe a lot of more people than ever will turn to that once this is done.
Yeah, it's insane. I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm basing my days on what I've been eating. So like if someone says, what'd you do on Tuesday? I have no fucking clue what Tuesday was, but I know that I had Chinese food for breakfast.
Right? Delicious. As you should.
I mean, like right now, Nick was like, what time is it? I'm like, who cares what time it is? The time makes no difference right now. It could be 3 o'clock in the morning or 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Who cares? Like, it doesn't matter.
Well, it's because I called Greg at 8:45. He's like, I just woke up from a nap. I'm like, what do you mean, bro? What are you
God,
talking about?
Greg, I'm so jealous. I can't. Like, my days, I'm up at like, because I'm fortunate to still have a job, and I produce for like the past 3 years on a Byron Allen TV game show. It's a little bit like Hollywood Squares. It's called Funny You Should Ask, and it's a panel of like 6 comedians, like Louis Anderson, John Lovitz, Sherry Shepard, little Bill Engvall, Howie Mandel, and they come on and we write all the questions, the trivia, and the one-liner jokes. And so I produce a team of writers, and we're all punching up stuff all the time. And for sure, I thought we would have no job after this, because most people in the TV, industry have no jobs right now.
Yeah.
And why would a TV game show that's syndicated, for God's sake, if you can barely find, why would we still be going? But somehow, by the miracle of God, we're all still working like monkeys each day. And it gets really crazy when you're trying to figure out how to do that and, keep your stand-up acting career alive, along with working a day job and making shit happen.
Yeah. I mean, I only take naps because I'm up and I barely sleep as it is, at like long stretches. So if I can like take a nap for 25 minutes at a time, I need to take those 25 minutes. But I got to tell you, I think that Byron Allen owns everything. So he's just trying to keep all his stuff going.
He owns me, for God's sake. You know what I mean? He owns us all.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. Like I don't think people realize like really what Byron Allen is to the entertainment world. They see most people probably think, oh, he's had this show on at 1:30 in the morning. Like, who cares? But then you look into Byron Allen, you realize he owns pretty much everything.
Everything. He does. I mean, it's like, he's a mogul that way.
Yeah, total
God
mogul.
bless. I mean, he has the Weather Channel. Listen, you got the bucks to just dish out $300 million for the Weather Channel. What can't you own?
Yeah, no kidding.
He's got it all. Very smart man.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. So
he's got me jumping during a COVID, so why not, huh?
He's like, let's see these people jump. How high can Shawn go?
Exactly.
So you're producing the show; it's still going. How are you keeping your stand-up Joneses active?
Well, I think as far as stand-up, it's kind of this strange time for entertainers in general. I mean, for everybody, this is all like the bizarro. I mean, I'm fortunate to be working, and there are many people that aren't right now, so I get it, where you start to get the time to do other things. But as far as comedians, we had stuff booked. I had corporate gigs booked. I had real good money coming in, and suddenly that's all pulled out from us. And not only, maybe these lockdowns, will open up and we'll be able to leave our houses and be people again. But really, if you think about it, look at the clubs. Are you ready to run into a place where there's 1,000 people? Probably not. So I think until they have something like, a vaccine, comedians, like, we got to figure out how to reinvent ourselves, and what do we do to make money? What do we do to move forward? So as someone who's always been in entertainment, you have to create. So am I doing stand-up in my living room? Fuck no, not yet. Haven't gotten to that desperado point. But give me about a week. But in the meantime, I took my show that was really popular at the world famous Comedy Store, and it ran once a month in the belly room upstairs. And it was a comedy show that I created, which is basically comedians and variety performers take real social media posts, comments, reviews from places like Facebook, Yelp, Twitter, Nextdoor, Instagram, and then they perform them live and as creatively as they want. You kind of have free reign of how you see what you're reading and presenting it as either that person, as a character, as an impression, or just, as a comedian who's just making, being satirical or whatnot. And really is a fun show, and it was so fun, and it had sold out audiences. And so I'm kind of, the probably about March 13th when we started to go into lockdown. That's like my show was that night. They canceled it, and the club was closing up. And then within a week, I talked to my friend who is really good at editing and producing, and she just said, let's get the show online. And so she's been a great help to me, and I started asking comedians to submit from home, and that's what they've been doing. And then I pieced the show together with my own performance and kind of, tried to provide a little bit of a modern day Saturday Night Live, but it's really at the, laughing at the absurdity of social media.
Yeah. So how?
That's awesome. I like that idea. I actually watched some of it today. I really liked it.
Thank you.
The one,
so nice.
the one where you were a bride having a meltdown. That was so good.
Oh, thank you. Well, can you believe? I mean, like, and for the people who don't know, for my first show, I found this crazy Bridezilla post that went viral. That I think someone kind of just put her on blast, and she had her own wedding, Facebook group, and of course, where she invited the attendees. But I mean, her asks were phenomenal, and it's not just like, hey, can you guys come to Hawaii for a wedding? It was like people had to wear certain things, like outfits up to like $2,000 and crazy costumes and things for a visual video. And it was probably just one of the craziest things I've ever read. And the follow-up to that post, I'll have to do, but there's a follow-up because, when people put her on blast about all her crazy requests, it didn't sit too well with her. And so she put her guests on blast, and that'll probably come in another episode. But, you just see, I mean, we all know that person on social media that says, and there's more than one, that just says crazy shit, or that troll that I'm sure said something to you in a review or whatnot, and you're like, are you kidding me? Or you've ever gotten a DM from someone you didn't know that was just super crazy, and you're like, oh my God, like now somebody, I better, I better like keep this person 500 yards away from me. Like it's a whole thing. So it's just fun to see what's out there and all the crazy reviews that are on Yelp or whatnot. I mean, people are so nuts and they have so much goddamn time on their hands.
Yeah, I don't understand. I never want to hang out with the person who's writing Yelp reviews. You know what I mean? Like they don't seem like cool people that I would want to hang out with.
Can I interject
so many.
And let you know that this is total true in fact that I'm the #1 TripAdvisor reviewer in West Hollywood.
Shut up. Wait, who said Nick? Did you say that or Greg?
Greg, me.
Oh, Greg.
Who said that?
I did. Greg, me. I don't.
Are you really?
I swear I will text you the picture. I don't know how. I mean, I'm in LA a lot for work, but it must somehow algorithm me that I must live in West Hollywood somehow. I don't know how. And then every month I get the TripAdvisor. You're still #1 in West Hollywood. It's the greatest thing ever. And I can't figure out why. Most of my reviews aren't even in LA. They're just all over because I travel a lot for work. And they're just everywhere. But I'm the #1 reviewer in West Hollywood for like the last 12 months in a row.
So you review trips and places when you go somewhere. You take that time.
Well, what happened was, in complete honesty, once I got to be the #1 reviewer in West Hollywood,
you're setting yourself up, right?
I know, of course I am. You don't even know. Of course I'm. There's not a joke I haven't heard already about it. But now I take it seriously to the point that I don't want to wind up the number 2 in West Hollywood.
That's so funny.
Like that would have a whole different set of jokes. But now when I go into a hotel, I have to write a review of that hotel or that restaurant or whatever to keep my #1 in West Hollywood status going.
So have you ever, because I know reviews can be powerful. I avoid Yelp, like it's Ebola. And I don't touch it. I won't get near it. But there are people that live and swear by it. Now, I have written something once or twice on maybe like hotels.com when I got completely screwed over by the hotel. and they handled things poorly. But it takes so much in me. It really to make me sit down and do that. It's a very rare moment, and I just never have that energy. You know, I'll talk about it or I'll tell people verbally, but I just to sit down and write it. It's like, you know, and I said, no, I'm getting a little bit better at it because I hang around with just nothing but gay men. So they're the best at complaining, and they can send an email from their brain straight to like the head of customer service. They're just that fucking fast.
Yeah, right.
If you hang with them enough, you can bring a Fortune 500 company down.
Yeah,
True.
well,
They don't fuck around, man. They know good quality shit. They don't mess around.
I just put notes in my iPhone, and then one day, like usually it's when I'm on a plane, I'll just fire off like 10 in a row, and then I'll be done with that like 2-week span, and then I'll do it again like a month later. But I don't write. It's very rare that I'd write like a scathing bad review unless it's about a hotel that wronged me. Like I'm not going to go into, you know, if I go to a restaurant and it happened to stink that night, I'm not going to write a shitty review because it could have been an off night. I could have been in a shitty mood. I'm not going to write something negative about, you know, a one night thing. But if I go into a hotel and there's bugs or blood on the pillow, like, yes, they're going to hear from me. The Sands Hotel.
What is your worst? What was your worst? What do you think was your worst travel review, and what had happened?
Oh man, so what was one? It happened recently in a hotel. The room was just disgusting. But the worst one ever was before the SLS in Las Vegas changed over from the Sands. That it used to be the Sands, and then it changed over to SLS. So I checked in one night really late, like 2:00 in the morning, and went up, got to the hotel, went into the room. I opened up the door, and the aroma of this room was nothing. I've never smelled anything like it ever. Ever. Right. And I would sleep. I mean, it was so late. I was like, I'm just going to go to bed, but I'm like, can't happen. So I went downstairs, said, the room is disgusting. You have to give me another room. So they did. I go upstairs. I get in this room. I lay in the bed, and I'm like, something doesn't smell right. I open up, like I took the pillow out of the pillowcase, and there was like obvious blood and stains all over these pillows. So I took the pillow with me. I was so pissed. I took the pillow with me into the lobby, and I'm like, this is disgusting. You guys got to do something. So they wound up giving me like some enormous suite. But by then it was almost 5:00 in the fucking morning. So I'm like, this is it. Like, no way. And I wrote like Sands Hotel sucks. This is disgusting. Don't ever stay here. Like, whatever. That was the worst review I ever wrote. But probably of the 600 or 500 or something reviews there, I think there's maybe 2 that are like bad. Everything else is like normal.
Do you think you single-handedly bought down the Sands Hotel? Being the #1 TripAdvisor reviewer
in West Hollywood.
Like that's why the Sands is not there anymore.
You know,
that world's darkest SLS that nobody goes to.
I would say I'd love to take credit for that, but I know people who have stayed in SLS a bunch of times, and they say the hotel is still disgusting. So clearly, my review didn't matter to them.
It is. That's super crazy. I wrote something on TripAdvisor once, and I went to Italy with a friend, and we were in Florence, and we stayed at this hotel. And they were rude as fuck because it's Italy. They're all too busy taking a break because that's what they do in Italy. You know, they're too busy. Everybody's on holiday, and they're just so busy taking a break. You can't get anyone to do anything. You can't even get ice in Italy. So that's probably why I feel bad for Italy, what's going on, but I can't think of a more archaic place that I would not like to be sick in than Italy because they're just busy taking breaks. So I remember walking into this hotel, and it was boutique and seemed okay, little archaic, but hey, it's Italy. And I was with a gay friend of mine who spoke full Italian, and because he was a Mormon missionary that then he came out, so then he was just a gay Mormon. So he and I stayed in this room together, Gorman, and I'm not kidding. Shit came up from the sewer. There was like a little sewer drain in the middle of the bathroom, and shit came up from it. And I was like, "Are you kidding me?" And when we went to complain, we just kind of got like, "So what? What do you want me to do?" That the Mamma Mia, what do you want me to do? Bullshit. And I took to TripAdvisor, and I think the title of it was "Shit Coming Out of the Drain," something like "Shit Coming Out of Your Bathroom." I don't know. I put shit in the title. Lots of shit. Clean up. You have to clean up shit or something, because I just wanted to bring them down, and was like, I couldn't believe how rude they were about it, and they just didn't care.
Well, wonder why they had all this virus shit happen. They're like, yeah, there's shit floating in my room. No big deal.
Yeah. It was
foreshadowing there. God
mm-hmm.
damn. That's a justified review, though. I'm talking about people that like just complain for no reason. Like, you got blood on your pillow, or there's human shit coming through your floor. Like, maybe write a review. You know, that's fine. But
I mean, they didn't want
like
to.
The salmon wasn't the temperature. Yeah.
Yeah.
They didn't want you to. Oh. So what happened? That was it? There's just shit? You just had to deal with shit in your bathroom?
They didn't take anything off. They didn't care. And that therefore came my review, because I didn't know else how to take them down a notch. If they don't, I could see like you going to the Sands and you saying, hey, second time I've been here, I've got a bloody toe. And they're like, hey, here's a sleeve. They did their best to try and rectify that. They did their best. This place, they didn't care. And it was like, sorry, buddy, moving on. So, that's, that.
You know what I've been doing that's way better? Yeah, no, you're right. That makes sense. I don't do hotels as much anymore. I do almost strictly Airbnbs, which has been awesome. I haven't had one issue or one problem.
Really?
It's always great. Yeah, because, I mean, they're owned by, just people that are renting out a place or, whatever. So it's up to them to keep it clean and have people coming back because they make money. It's not, big corporation or whatever. So I've never had one bad experience. I actually had an Airbnb when I went to Florence for 10 days. It was awesome. Full kitchen, beautiful, tiled, everything, water, like everything was great. It was awesome.
Mm-hmm.
I'll never do a hotel again.
Yeah,
there's no point.
I haven't done Airbnbs, and but then again, I really stepped up my hotel game. So I become a little bit more high maintenance. So when I'm stepping into something and it's not where it should be, then I could dive out. But I'm always really nice about it. And I haven't had good hotel luck lately. I seem to find a lot of things that keep happening, and I try and be as nice as I can when I go to the front. Oh, I'm so sorry. Hi, But it's crazy how sometimes people react to you like you're out for something free or this or that. But you're just like, God, no. You just, like, recently went to Vegas, and I was performing in Vegas, and it was a celebration. And some girlfriends joined me, and we stayed at the Venetian and the Palazzo, which is like their higher end of their boutique part of their hotel. And I remember, and it was probably like November, and it was still like 75 degrees outside. And we go to use the pool, and they shut all the pools down. And there was like you could lay by one of the pools that was closed down, but there was no food service or cocktails. And I'm like, and there were a ton of people out. And I'm like, I could have sworn this was Vegas. And it was just so weird. And then you had to walk 10 miles to go like get anything to eat. They just kind of were shutting stuff down. And you're like, what's the problem here? And like when we went to the front desk, it's like no one could figure it out. No one really cared. And they kind of talk to you like you're a dummy. And you're like, no, actually, this is Vegas, and it's not 20 degrees outside. You've got like 500 people around a pool and no service. And people just, they just kind of look past you, because I'm sure they have people say something to them all the time about stupid shit. But, you're paying $400 or $500 a night. Could I get a cocktail?
What's your favorite restaurant at Palazzo?
What was the restaurant?
Do you have a favorite restaurant in the Venetian Palazzo complex?
Well, the Venetian. Well, I like it, but there's one. There's one next to me, actually down the street in LA, and it's the. Oh my God! Why am I blanking? The fried chicken, Southern Yard bar and restaurant.
Oh, the chicken place that's in the
table bar and restaurant. It's
Yeah.
really good. So there's one in LA. It's like the best service, and it's kind of in walking distance from my house that my husband and I love to go to. And we went to one in the Venetian, and it was just as great service, and it was wonderful. It was kind of in the Venetian itself.
Yeah, no, I know the
didn't
place.
really, wasn't there that long.
I've never been to that one, but I know which place you're talking about.
Yeah.
So besides
good.
food
Like
and TripAdvisor and reviews, we should probably talk about maybe comedies a little bit, Nick. What do you think?
I guess so. Sure. What would you like to know?
So I just want to say, when I first came to know you and your comedy, I saw you at the Comedy Store probably, I don't know, maybe 6 or so months ago now. And you were on stage right when I walked in. It was the early part of the night, I think in the original room. And I hadn't laughed that hard in a long time. And to me, it was the best of the night. And the people that were on that show were like the friggin' rock stars. So for one, I'm very super psyched that you're taking the time to shoot the shit with us about TripAdvisor. But I kind of just want to know,
Greg,
sorry.
No, you go ahead.
No, I was just
very nice of you. I want to say thank you. That's very sweet of you. And just because we're all dying in a COVID, you don't have to say things like that. But I really appreciate it.
No, I'm not. I came with another friend of mine who's a stand-up comedian, and I'm in LA all the time for work, and I'm probably on normal circumstances at the Comedy Store 2 or 3 nights a month. So I've seen everybody, and I just go randomly, whatever, just to see what's going on. And I think part of what I really liked about your comedy, what struck me, is I'm Jewish too, and it's very obvious in your act. So we have a couple of friends out here who are also Jewish and comedians, and just it took me right to that place with listening to those guys who crack me up on a daily basis, hearing them do their routines and their bits, and it just really spoke to me, and I really just thoroughly enjoyed it. Right? I mean, because I'm normally, when I'm there, I see a lot of the same people, and I hadn't seen you there before, so it was refreshing.
Well, that is very sweet of you, and I guess I can thank my heritage and my faith for being able to deliver my Jewish stylings of jokes, and it comes with the territory. I mean, I grew up Jewish in Oklahoma, which is crazy, but Judaism is a big part of me because of where I was born and raised, where it really wasn't a big part of anybody.
Yeah, so
there.
Wow.
So,
I'm curious about that too, growing up in Oklahoma. I mean, obviously on your website it says you were one of 10 Jews in Oklahoma, but I imagine there's more than 10, but it's still obviously a very small amount.
Yeah, it was probably 12.
13, 13 maybe?
Yeah. Yeah. Including my brother. Yep. Yeah. No, there was it wasn't the biggest population in Oklahoma City, but there was one synagogue and one temple, and I belonged to more of the conservative, the synagogue. I would say there was a couple of hundred people in our congregation, and it's not like out here in LA where there's thousands of people, but the temple had a bigger congregation, and then Tulsa they had some Jews, but apparently I guess now I started to get calls this year because of the marvelous Mrs. Maisel and how I guess in this season her mother is Jewish and from Oklahoma. Everyone's like, oh my God, the writers must have seen you. And I'm like, the writers didn't see me. Nobody saw me. You know what I mean? I just feel like they, it's a possibility. There are Jews in every state, whether you want to think about that or not. So it's not a hard reach to think one out of the states, there's a Jewish person there. And So it wasn't like the biggest community, but it wasn't 10 or 20 people. And, I had a Hebrew school class, and really my Sunday school confirmation class, it got so small, it just ended up being my best friend and I. So, we kind of started to die out a little bit because people started to intermarry or they left Oklahoma, but it was a pretty kind of tight-knit community, and I was raised conservative. I mean, I was probably at synagogue for Hebrew school, Sunday school, and services 4 to 5 times a week, 5 times a week.
Wow.
And just considering that, I should be a little more religious now. But once I got to LA, hell, I broke loose and just started dating goyim left and right, and Latin men and fucking priests and shit. Like, it didn't matter. Like, I was out. And I didn't fuck a priest. That's terrible. That's Felipe. But I
just irreverent.
Yeah,
I opened
Greg
my
did
eyes
when he
a
was
little
a kid.
bit. Yeah, Craig, you did. I know that
Yeah, he's from
happened.
Jersey. He's also half
Sorry.
Italian too, so Catholic.
Oh God.
Yeah.
Oh,
Just the
God.
good half.
Oh, mom's the word. Oh, gosh. Really touch you there. Terrible. But yeah, I just, it was a change of growing up like that. And people always like, oh, did you run into a lot of anti-Semitism? I was weirdly proud to be Jewish growing up as a kid and being so different. There's a church on every corner in Oklahoma. In Oklahoma City, just everyone is God-fearing. And I was different, but people really accepted me. I mean, maybe one time I had to run in on the playground and a girl, said, wear the horns on your head. And I clocked her, and then I got brought in to the principal. So I don't know why that happened, but I get that. You don't forget that moment.
Yeah, for sure.
But,
Yeah, I've been to Oklahoma City.
It is what it is.
And it definitely.
I ask myself that every day, but my dad ended up going to medical school at Oklahoma University. My parents were born and raised in Brooklyn, and my dad's brother was in the Navy, and then ended up doing some engineering school at Oklahoma State University. So my dad would go and visit him, and he liked it, and then my dad ended up going to medical school at Oklahoma University, and then he established a neurosurgery practice out in Oklahoma City and became one of the top neurosurgeons in the world. And then he had us and my mom, and I was in Oklahoma till I was about 17, and then I left to go to USC and Southern California and pursue what I wanted to do, to pursue acting, and kind of fell into, and I knew comedy, but I was more kind of in the realm of sketch comedy and SNL characters and impersonations, and really started training with the Groundlings and Acme Sketch Comedy Theater to do that. And then I kind of fell into stand-up, but just didn't do anything with it because I was so focused on sketch comedy. And then I kind of just changed my tune and fell in love with stand-up and made a regular at the Comedy Store and just went full force with that.
That's awesome. What how did you know? Like, did you always know from a young age you wanted to pursue acting and entertainment as a career?
Yeah, I mean, when I was a little kid, my dad used to take us on rounds, and I said, I want to be a doctor, and kind of the smell of hospital started to make me sick, and and then I just thought, well, I should disappoint my parents and choose acting. So that's what I did. My other brothers and sisters chose what every good Jewish kid does: doctor, lawyer, accountant. That's how they moved in that direction. And I just thought, no, I want to be in entertainment. And when I was in second grade, I kind of do. I played the Wicked Witch of the West in The Wizard of Oz, and I think I was just so kind of overzealous. I melted before Dorothy threw the water on me, and the audience laughed. I liked the sound of it, and kind of stuck with me. So I started just kind of focusing. I had a very funny family too, so I just kind of started focusing on making people laugh and being a ham and impersonations and characters. And I was always in love with Saturday Night Live when I was a kid. So that, I think, motivated me and to get into the business. And watching someone like my idol, Bette Midler, just something was different about her and raunchy and out there. And I just liked what she did and how she could sing and perform and make people laugh and then make people cry in the next minute with the song. So it just kind of, it drew me in, and there was something fascinating about that. I mean, I think I was just like a gay boy early on, because
Like Nick.
I remember seeing like Mommy Dearest come out on HBO, and I just stood there with my mouth open. I was like, what is this incredible movie? It's just incredible. I couldn't stop watching. It re-ran all the time on HBO, and I always watched it. I memorized it and loved it. And even sixth grade, we had a book fair, and I don't know how my mom let me go out of the house like this, but most kids were choosing Tom Sawyer or Grapes of Wrath. People were choosing books, and you had to dress up as a character from a book. I dressed up, I shit you not, as Christina Crawford from Mommy Dearest. Like, that's fucked up. That was a beaten, abused child.
You should ask Nick who he dressed up.
Friend.
You should ask Nick who he dressed up as in seventh grade.
I had a very similar experience. It's actually a bit in my act about when I was in sixth grade, we had to do a book report, and people were picking like famous people. Like, I mean, like when they say famous people, I mean like famous people throughout time, like historian, like George Washington, Abraham Lincoln, right? All those people.
Right.
And I picked LL Cool J because he was my favorite rapper. And I had to dress up like him. And I was wearing a Fubu jersey and had my pant leg rolled up. And I played Mama Said Knock You Out for my whole entire sixth grade class and explained
awesome.
the meaning behind the song. And that's when I was like, man, there's something wrong with me.
And Nick was never allowed in public school again.
And I graduated from school permanently in sixth grade. That was it.
He was cute, LL Cool J. Like, he was a sexy man. So kudos to that. I mean, I just went as every gay man's dream. And I convinced my friend to go with Joan Crawford. So there we were, the mother and the daughter that she beat. Like, it just was, and my mom helped dress us up and sent us on our way. Nobody said shit to us.
Hey, that's Oklahoma.
So,
awesome.
Yeah.
So when
it was,
what do you think like your first like big break in comedy was? Was it getting passed at the Comedy Store?
Definitely. Yeah, Comedy Store. That was pretty monumental. I heard Mitzi Shore was looking for women to put in a women's show in the belly room because the Comedy Store is notoriously haunted.
Yeah.
And it used to be this club called Sparrows in the 40s. So there were belly dancers in there. There was a rat pack was running amok, and there were a lot of monsters bumping people up, supposedly, and all this shit happened. And in the belly room, there had been, I guess they call it the belly room because one of the belly room dancers had an abortion, and the baby still haunted the place, and then she died. And so it was this whole thing of how haunted the Comedy Store is. And the belly room supposedly had to be exercised once a year because it was just so haunted. And so I guess it was like in the 70s or 80s, maybe the early 80s, Mitzi Shore decided to bring women in there because that's when the ghosts or whoever was haunting it was they kind of laid low because there were women in there, and there was the female vibe was back. And so there was a thing about where she just wanted to bring females back into that room. And so somebody had recommended me, and usually you showcase at the Comedy Store on a Sunday night in front of her, and you do 3 minutes, and she's in the back of the room. And why you showcase for her, other comics purposely go and cockblock you and start talking to her and watch next to her and interrupt her focus so you don't get past. Right. It just was this vicious game. And I had no idea about that. I just know I had done shows here and there, amateur shows that people had booked outside the Comedy Store. And, I was kind of innocent in all that. And then someone said, oh, you're going to have a showcase for Mitzi Shore. And so I was like, okay. So I'm preparing 3 minutes. And they're like, you're going to get 10 minutes. So I'm like, 10 minutes? And they're like, and it's going to be La Jolla. which was like my saving grace, because I think if I had showcased in LA, I never would have been passed because there's just too many cockblockers. But when I got to showcase in La Jolla, there weren't all those comedians to interrupt. And it's this peaceful place. In San Diego, everyone's happy. In LA, everyone hates you.
Yeah.
But in San Diego, everyone's alive and happy and fit. There's not many comedians that live down there. And so I got to bring friends and family out, and I got to do not 3, but 10 full minutes in front of her. And you're told if Missy Shore, stops you and talks to you, then, you'll know if you've been passed. And if she ignores you or whatnot, keep on walking. And sure enough, after my set, she kind of put her hand out, and since I do a Barbara Streisand impression, she goes, "Barbara, you're funny." And I said, "Oh, thank you." She's like, "Call in Monday." That was it, and then I was kind of made. It kind of felt like a Godfather moment. I remember driving home that night with my friends in the back car, and I was driving, and I just couldn't. Usually when I drive late at night, I get kind of tired. I was so hyped up, thinking, I can't believe I just got past the world famous Comedy Store, and she put me to work right away. That Monday, she had me on stage at all crazy hours and really fine tuning myself. And throughout the years, she became a second mother to me, and never stopped believing me. And to the point where I got to be invited to her 80th birthday, and at her house with like 20 people.
Wow. With
20 comics. And the comics that she selected, it's kind of crazy now when I look back and I see, like, who are those people at her house? She had, like, me, Louis Anderson, she had Arsenio Hall, and then she had Jim Carrey.
Wow.
That's good company
and
right
myself,
there.
and I'm sitting there going, what am I fucking doing sitting here with Jim Carrey? And I had the most weirdest interaction with Jim Carrey. Like, it was so awkward. And I didn't know he was going to be there. And at first I was there with my friend Vicky Barbalack, who was a finalist for AGT. And she and I were sitting at a table, and I was single at the time. And, not many people had got there yet. And this guy sits down. And he's this older, probably like in his late 40s or whatever. And he sits down, and he's this French guy, whatever. And he says, he starts talking to us, and we said, he goes, "Oh, I'm here with my friend James." So I didn't know what he was talking about. I didn't know who James was. And we started talking, and he says he owns this restaurant in Los Angeles, it's called The Little Door. Whatever, The Little Door. So I'm like, okay, and The Little Door is supposed to be this popular restaurant. I've been to The Little Door once, and so he's like, "Oh, this guy's single. Obviously he knows he does well. My friend Vicky's trying to make sure that, like that I don't fuck this up." And she sees he and I talking, and she's sitting at the table, and he goes, "Yeah, I own The Little Door. You ever been there?" And I said, "Actually, yeah, I've been once." And he goes, "What did you see? Did you like it?" I said, "No, not really." My father was in town, and we waited like an hour, and he's like, "What?" And I just don't, it was a very Larry David moment. I just wasn't thinking. And Vicky's kicking me under the table because, like, he was showing interest in me, obviously a well-off guy. And she's kicking me like, "What the fuck are you saying?" And I'm just giving him the truth. So he gives me his card. He's like, "You should come back," blah, 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 blah. So next thing you know, Jim Carrey walks up, and he sits down. He goes, "This is my friend, James." And, "Well, fuck James, you mean Jim," right? So Jim Carrey goes, "Hi, I'm Jim Carrey. I'm pretty aware who you are. Thank you. Big fan." And Shawn, Vicky, and he goes, "Hey, did you meet my friend here? Well, I don't know, his name was Pierre or whatever." And he's like, he owns The Little Door." I said, "Yeah." And he goes, "Have you ever been?" I said, "Yeah." And he goes, "Do you like it?" I said, "No, I didn't. I had really bad times, And he goes, "What?" And then Vicky kicks me again. And Jim Carrey goes, "Well, how come you don't love it? I was there this morning. They bought me champagne. I had the best of it." I go, "Yeah, well, you're fucking Jim Carrey." Like, it was this weird out-of-body experience. But he was very nice. But the moral of the story is I did not get laid. That guy didn't want my number, and I was done. So I had to wait several more years to find a man because obviously I just didn't know a good thing when it was sitting in front of me.
Did you ever go to that restaurant after when he gave you the card?
No, I never liked it.
Never went back, huh?
Yeah, never went back. Oh boy, did I gave that guy a Yelp review to his fucking face like an asshole. I don't know what happened to me.
That's an awesome story.
That's fucking great. Oh my God. That's awesome.
Yeah,
that's
but
so cool.
Great experience. She was the best. I mean, I was fortunate with Mitzi. I always visited her, and I didn't live too far from her when she passed. And I saw her a couple of days before she passed. They weren't really letting comedians in, and somehow I got through with the piano player, Jeff Scott, from the Comedy Store.
Yeah.
I sat with her for about 40 minutes, and she couldn't really speak. And I just sat and talked to her and told her how important she was to me and how much I loved her. And I had just lost my mom a couple of months before that. So I just told her what she meant to the comedy world and to me. And she had the most beautiful manicured nails, and she heard me. And then sometimes I started imitating what she was saying to me back in front of her.
That's funny.
I just spoke for her, which I'm not quite sure she appreciated, but I did it. I just had a full on. I did a humorous interpretation, and I hope she appreciated that, because I really appreciated her.
Yeah, that's awesome. Do you? So but that's only a couple of years, right? She's only passed within the last few years, right?
2 years.
Yeah, I was gonna say about 2 years. So she got to see, a lot of this resurgence in the last, say, 7, 8, 9, 10 years of the Comedy Store becoming, again, what it used to be, because of all that, went through obviously a huge lull in the comedy world. And then all of a sudden, in the last bunch of years, it's blown the doors off. So, I mean, did she get to, get pleasure out of that?
A little bit, she was having complications. So I don't know if she really could comprehend the hype.
Right.
It hit again, because she was battling other things. But I think she was told, or I'm hoping she did. I'm hoping. She was a very astute person. And when you think she wasn't paying attention, she was paying full attention.
Right.
And she came into the room when you were doing your set. Well, that was just like Judgment Day. You're like, oh, shit. She just walked in and sat at the booth and watched you, and you thought, oh, God, please be with me now. Because as you know, and you've seen the Comedy Store, it's a great place to eat shit, and it's developed. It's the hardest club in town to perform in, and I don't know if it's because it's the ghost or it's haunted or it's the trenches. And if you can't get good there, you can't get good anywhere.
Yeah, amen. So we're kind of coming up on the time. Anything in particular besides?
You mean will they let us out of our houses?
Oh my God!
No, be another 30 days or so.
I'm gonna jump off my balcony.
You mean when I eat another pint of ice cream? Is that what you mean?
I mean, I got to make my way down to my kitchen to get my ice cream for the night. So besides the show, like, how do people find your show that you're producing on the internet now? Where would they go to see that?
Well, you can find the show's called Social Media Meltdown with an S at the end of it. You can go to YouTube. We have a channel, Social Media Meltdown. You can find us at Instagram at Social Media Meltdown. You can go to my website, HACHICK.com. And you can follow the show. There's new episodes every Friday at 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And watch it, tell your friends about it. And you can also follow me at Shawn Pelofsky, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Twat Chat, whatever it is. I don't even know anymore. Like everything. Whatever there is, Venmo, fucking TripAdvisor, that's Greg's TripAdvisor. You can't follow me on that. It might be the one to get with you.
I'll put you on my
TripAdvisor.
Nick will put you on his. He'll bounce his Grindr account over to you.
Oh shit! I'm all up for that. Love it.
All right, Shawn. Really, this was awesome. Really enjoyed talking to you. Hopefully,
likewise, gentlemen. Thank you so much for having me. And I hope you guys are safe.
Yeah, you too. Best to you and your family and everybody out there.
Thank you.
All right, we'll talk soon. Thank you.
Take care.
You too.
Bye.
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 Uneducated.